Everyone thinks the finale of Industry Season 4 is about who won the deal. But the truth is much darker. Episode 8 is not about money. It is about control, loyalty, and the moment when ambition becomes more important than people. By the time the screen cuts to black, someone has power, someone has protection, and someone is completely alone. Season 4 has been building toward one thing, the final move that would decide the future of Pierpoint and the future of everyone. Fighting inside it, Episode 8 delivers that moment, but not in a loud or dramatic way. Instead, it happens through silence, small looks, and one decision that changes everything on the surface. The deal looks like a victory. The numbers work. The firm survives. The right signatures are placed at the right time. Investors feel safe. The headlines will likely say that Pierpoint remains strong. But when you look closer, you realize that survival is not the same as winning throughout the season. Tension has been growing between the younger traders and the old leadership. This final deal becomes the battlefield for that tension. It is not just about profit. It is about who controls the future direction of the firm. Is Pierpoint going to stay in the hands of leaders who built it, or will it shift into the hands of people who are willing to risk everything? In Episode 8, we see that the deal only works because someone makes a quiet sacrifice. Information is held back, trust is broken. Promises made earlier in the season are ignored. And when that final decision is made, it protects the company but damages relationships that may never recover. One of the most important details in this episode is timing. The deal closes at the exact moment when doubt is at its highest. That is not random. It shows that someone understood fear inside the room and used it. Fear becomes a tool. When people are scared of losing everything, they agree to things they normally would not accept. That is how control is taken in this episode, not through shouting, but through pressure. Another key part of this ending is who speaks and who stays quiet. In earlier seasons, power was shown through big speeches and aggressive moves. But here, power is shown through restraint. The person who wins does not need to say much. They let others panic. They let others argue. And then they move when everyone else is tired. At first, it may seem like Pierpoint is stable again. The deal brings order. The chaos slows down. But look deeper and you will see cracks. Trust inside the firm is weaker than ever. Some characters now know they cannot rely on the people they once believed in. That kind of damage does not disappear just because a contract is signed. This is why the ending feels uneasy instead of triumphant. Yes, the company survives. Yes, the deal is technically a success. But the emotional cost is heavy. Someone has crossed a line they cannot uncross. Someone has chosen ambition over loyalty, and someone else has realized they were never truly protected. Episode 8 makes it clear that in this world, success is temporary but consequences are permanent. The deal may look clean on paper, but behind it is betrayal, fear, and quiet revenge. And the most dangerous part is that the person who now holds power understands exactly how fragile everything is. By the end of this first layer of the finale, we are left with one important question. If this is what it takes to win, then what will it take next time? Because Pierpoint may have survived tonight, but the war inside it has only just changed shape. By the time Episode 8 reaches its final act, Harper is no longer reacting to the chaos around her. She is creating it. All season long, she has been walking a thin line between survival and control. But in this finale, she makes a clear choice. She stops trying to belong inside Pierpoint and starts trying to own her position in it. That shift changes everything. Harper's biggest strength has always been her ability to read people. She understands fear better than anyone else in the room. In this episode, she sees that everyone is desperate to protect themselves. Eric wants stability. The firm wants safety. Investors want calm. Harper recognizes that desperation creates weakness. So instead of fighting openly, she waits. She lets others show their anxiety first. What makes her final move so powerful is that it feels calm. There is no dramatic outburst, No emotional breakdown, just quiet confidence. When she chooses her side in the deal, she does it knowing exactly who it will hurt. And she accepts that cost. That is the moment we realize she has changed. Earlier seasons showed her struggling with guilt and insecurity. Here, she understands that guilt is a luxury she cannot afford, but this decision also isolates her. Even if she wins the short-term battle, she loses something bigger: trust. People around her now see that she is willing to sacrifice relationships if it means gaining leverage. That makes her dangerous, but it also makes her alone. In a place like Pierpoint, being alone is risky. You may have power, but you have no protection when the tide turns. Another important detail in this episode is how Harper handles Eric. Their relationship has always been built on tension. He trained her, challenged her, and at times tried to control her. In this finale, the balance shifts. Harper no longer looks for approval. She does not try to prove herself to him. Instead, she positions herself as someone he has to consider carefully. That quiet shift shows growth, but it also signals the end of their old dynamic. Harper's endgame is not about loyalty to the firm. It is about survival on her own terms. She has learned that institutions do not protect individuals. When things go wrong, the company will sacrifice anyone, so she chooses to move first. In doing so, she protects herself, but she also confirms that she trusts no one. There is also an emotional layer beneath her decision. Even if she appears calm, there is tension in her silence. She understands that every action she takes adds weight to her reputation. People now see her as someone who will always choose advantage over emotion. That label can open doors, but it can also close them. Allies may hesitate before getting too close. What makes her storyline in episode 8 so compelling is that we cannot clearly call it a victory or a loss. She gains influence. She proves she can play at the highest level, but she steps further away from connection. The more she wins, the smaller her circle becomes. That is the hidden cost of ambition in this world. By the end of the episode, Harper stands stronger than before, but also more exposed. If Pierpoint faces another crisis, she may not find anyone willing to shield her. And if Eric or someone else decides to strike back, they now have a reason. Her power is real, but it is fragile. Season 4 closes Harper's arc with a clear message. She has mastered the game, but mastering the game means accepting that relationships are temporary. In choosing control, she gives up comfort. In choosing strategy, she gives up innocence. And that may be the most important change of all. While the finale focuses heavily on corporate power, Yasmin's journey in episode 8 feels deeply personal. Her story is not just about business. It is about identity. All season long, she has been trying to separate herself from her family's shadow, especially from the damage left behind by her father's legacy. In this episode, that struggle reaches its most painful stage. Yasmin enters the final episode already emotionally exhausted. The weight of public opinion, private shame, and professional doubt has been building for weeks. Inside Pierpoint, she is no longer seen as just a capable employee. She carries baggage. Every conversation feels loaded. Every look from a colleague feels like judgment. That pressure slowly pushes her toward a choice she cannot avoid. The most important part of Yasmin's arc in episode 8 is the way she handles humiliation. Earlier in the season, embarrassment made her defensive. She tried to protect her image. She tried to appear strong. But in this finale, something shifts. Instead of fighting every whisper, she becomes more still, more aware. She understands that survival in this environment sometimes means absorbing the hit without reacting. Her final move is not loud. It is not dramatic, but it is powerful. Yasmin chooses stability over pride. She chooses long-term survival over short-term revenge. That decision may look small compared to the huge financial deal happening around her, but emotionally, it is massive. She stops trying to prove that she is different from her father and instead focuses on building her own future, step by step. There is also a strong theme of control in her storyline. For most of the season, Yasmin feels like she is being pushed by events she cannot control. Family scandals, media pressure, and office politics all trap her in situations she did not create. In episode 8, she finally takes control of one thing: her reaction. She cannot erase her past, but she can decide how she moves forward. Her interactions in this episode are more measured. She speaks less but thinks more. That change shows growth. It shows someone who has learned that survival inside. Pierpoint requires emotional discipline. While Harper fights through strategy and Eric fights through authority, Yasmin fights through endurance. Another layer to her story is trust over time. She has learned that people are quick to use her when it benefits them. In the finale, she begins to understand that loyalty inside this world is fragile. She does not fully trust anyone anymore. That realization makes her colder, but also stronger. She starts to build emotional walls. Not out of anger, but out of necessity. The tragedy is that this growth comes from pain. Yasmin's innocence is gone. The belief that hard work alone could protect her is gone. What remains is awareness. And awareness inside a place like Pierpoint is both a shield and a burden. As Season 4 closes, Yasmin feels like someone preparing for a new chapter. She may not hold the most power in the room, but she has gained something equally important: clarity. She sees the system for what it is. She understands that survival sometimes requires compromise. And she is ready to move carefully, even if it means letting go of the version of herself she once tried to protect. Her story in episode 8 is a quiet reminder that not all battles are fought in boardrooms. Some are fought internally, and sometimes simply standing firm without breaking is the strongest move of all. If Harper represents the future and Yasmin represents survival, then Eric represents something else entirely: the old system trying to hold its ground. In episode 8, his position looks stable on the surface. He is still in the room. He still has authority. People still listen when he speaks. But the finale quietly shows that his control is not as strong as it once was. All season, Eric has tried to balance two roles. He wants to be a mentor, but he also wants to win. He wants loyalty, but he also demands performance. That tension becomes clear in this episode. The final deal forces him to make choices that reveal what truly matters to him. And what matters most is not mentorship, it is survival. One of the most important details in this episode is how often Eric reacts instead of leads. In earlier seasons, he drove the energy of the room. He pushed others into action. But in episode 8, there are moments where he feels one step behind. He is reading situations instead of shaping them. That small shift says a lot. It shows that the center of power inside Pierpoint is moving. His dynamic with Harper is the clearest sign of this change. There was a time when she needed him. She needed his approval, his guidance, and his protection. In the finale, that need is gone. Harper makes her move without asking for his blessing, and Eric understands that. The look on his face in those final exchanges is not just frustration. It is realization. He sees that the person he helped shape no longer operates under his control. But Eric is not weak. That is what makes his arc so interesting. He adapts when he feels the ground shifting. He does not panic. He adjusts his tone. He becomes more strategic. He chooses words carefully instead of trying to dominate the room. With force, he leans into quiet authority. He knows that open aggression would only reveal insecurity. Still, there is a sense that he is fighting time. The culture of Pierpoint is changing. Younger players are willing to take bigger risks. They are less attached to tradition. Eric built his career on mastering a system with clear rules. Now those rules are bending, and while he understands the game better than anyone, he may not control its direction anymore. Another powerful theme in his storyline is pride. Eric has always believed in his ability to manage chaos. He trusts his instincts. In episode 8, those instincts are tested. He sees moves happening that he did not fully predict. And even though he manages to protect his position for now, the cracks are visible. By the end of the episode, Eric still has his title. He still holds influence, but something feels different. The fear he once inspired is weaker. The loyalty he once commanded is thinner. He is no longer the only power in the room. He is one of several forces competing for control. The finale does not show Eric falling. Instead, it shows him standing on uncertain ground. That is more powerful than a dramatic defeat, because uncertainty creates tension. It suggests that his future will not be decided by past success. He will have to fight differently if he wants to remain at the top. Season 4 closes with Eric in a complicated position. He has protected the firm. He has protected himself, but he has not fully secured his dominance. The system he trusted is evolving, and the people he once guided are becoming threats. His challenge in the future will not be about intelligence or skill. It will be about adaptation. In this episode, control becomes an illusion. Everyone thinks they are holding it. Everyone believes they are safe. But the truth is simple. Power inside Pierpoint is never permanent. And Eric now understands that he is no longer the only one capable of shaping the outcome. The final minutes of episode 8 are quiet, but they carry more weight than any loud argument earlier in the episode. The deal is done. The room is calmer. On the surface, everything looks stable, but the silence in the last scene tells a different story. Stability does not mean peace. It means everyone is waiting for the next shift. What makes the ending powerful is how controlled it feels. No dramatic music, no sudden twist, just characters sitting with the consequences of their choices. Each face in the final moments carries a different emotion. Some look relieved, some look guarded, some look completely alone. That emotional contrast is the real ending of Season 4. Harper stands in a stronger position than before, but she does not look comfortable. Her power is real, yet it feels fragile. She has proven she can outthink the room, but she has also shown everyone exactly how far she is willing to go. That knowledge will stay with her colleagues. In Season 5, people will not underestimate her, but they also will not trust her easily. Yasmin, on the other hand, looks more grounded. She is not at the center of the deal, yet her internal shift feels important. She has accepted that survival in this world requires patience. The final scene suggests she is done reacting emotionally. She is watching now, learning, preparing. That quiet growth could make her more dangerous in the long run. Eric's position in the final moments feels the most complex. He is still present, still powerful, but he no longer feels untouchable. There is a subtle awareness in his expression, as if he understands that the ground beneath him is moving. He has survived this battle, but he can sense that the next one will be harder. The younger generation is not asking for permission anymore. The final scene also highlights a larger theme: isolation. Every character who reaches for power ends up standing alone. The higher they climb, the fewer people stand beside them. That emotional distance is not an accident. The show makes it clear that in a system built on competition, connection becomes risky, trust becomes a weakness. Season 4 ends without a dramatic explosion because the real explosion has already happened internally. Relationships have shifted, loyalties have broken, lines have been crossed. The silence at the end feels like the calm before a storm. It tells us that the war is not over. It has only changed shape. Looking ahead to Season 5, the biggest question is not about money. It is about retaliation. Who feels betrayed? Who feels overlooked? Who is waiting for the right moment to strike back? The finale plants seeds for future conflict without spelling anything out directly. Pierpoint itself feels unstable beneath the polished surface. The deal may have protected the company for now, but the culture inside it is fractured. Younger traders are more ambitious, leadership is more cautious, and everyone is more suspicious. That combination creates tension that cannot stay hidden for long. The final image of episode 8 leaves us with one clear message: power is temporary, but consequences are lasting. Every choice made in this finale will echo into the next season. Harper's boldness, Yasmin's quiet strength, and Eric's uncertain control are all threads that will shape what comes next. Season 4 closes not with celebration, but with awareness. The game continues. The players remain at the table, but the rules are shifting. And in a world like industry, the moment you think you are safe is the exact moment you become vulnerable.